Okay, we are in siman kuf mem aleph. We're up to sif test. This is the fifth shir, I believe, on Purim. That's where we're up to. Okay, siman kuf mem aleph sif test. Mitzvah min hamufcha l'shmei kriyas Megillah bebeis haknesses. The best place to listen to the Megillah is in shul. Why? B'makom sheyesh reiv anashim. This is a place where people gather. What's the ma'ila? Mishum de bereiv am hadras melech. There's a very big benefit to having a lot of people that are there together with you. Some would say that, we're going to see soon about a minyan, some would say that even women could be counted towards a minyan because the minyan for this has to do with Berev Am, similar to Hanukkah, like we mentioned. So therefore, you go to shul is the best way to do this. If you can't go to shul, then the best thing to do would be at least to gather 10 people together to have a minyan. That would be the best way. And as I said, possibly women would count for this as well. But let's say you can't find a minyan. That every person should read by themselves. If you have a kosher Megillah, then you should make the brachas before. Okay, we'll talk about after later, but for now, you make the brachas before. Now, let's say you have 5 people. One of them knows how to lay. The other ones don't know how to lay. So what do you do now is you don't have a full minyan, so technically everyone should read by themselves. But over here, the halacha is the person who knows better, they should read, even if there's only 4 people listening. The hein yishmu, and they should listen to him. The yaitzin, everyone will be yaitzin from his reading, even though you don't have 10. Now, based on the Alter Rebbe, he says like this: L'das Rabbeinu, according to the Alter Rebbe, gam kishein asara. Let's say you don't have 10, and v'kulam yedim likris, and also everyone knows how to read. Nevertheless, it's still better that one person should read for everyone else, even if they know how to read and they have their own Megillas and there's only 5 of them, there's no minyan. Nevertheless, there's still a benefit to one person doing it, because you would still be fulfilling some element of Berev Am Hadras Melech when one person does it for others. So there still would be an advantage. But what about the bracha after? We only said about the bracha before. So about the bracha after, you only say the brachas after if you have 10 people. Okay, now hold the thought. We'll get to what we do a little bit later. But according to the halacha, just so you know, you do not make the bracha officially after the Megillah if you did not have a minyan. And there's a reason why. The brachas before are for the mitzvah, the brachas after are for it's like more of a minig, it's commemorating. So different reasons why. However, without saying Hashem's name, so according to the base halacha, the brachas before you do, even if you don't have a minyan, the brachas after you should not, but you could do it without Hashem's name. That's what the halacha says. Might not be what we do, as we'll see soon. Yeah. So we follow the regular halachas of a minyan. If you have 6 people listening and being yetza, it might be more lenient, really, because the truth is we're saying a lot of it has to do with, but it has to do with like a presuming nisa, making it public. Then what? Then do you make the brachas after? So first, let's finish what we're saying, and then we'll get there because we're not done this idea yet. Okay, we'll talk about it again. It's if Aleph, I guess. Okay, but before we get there, Sif Yud, Minig b'chol Yisrael. The minig is like this: the person who reads is not supposed to read from a Megillah that's rolled up. Ella poshet oisa, you spread it out. The koifla daf al daf, and you fold them over. Kama yigeres, like a letter. Because that's what it's called. It's called the letter of Purim. But the people listening, the pashta, they don't have to do that. Now, first of all, the minig used to be that people would have it rolled up like a Sefer Torah. And you still see now, some people do. They buy a little pocket size that comes rolled up, and they slowly pull it out as they get along. Now, nowadays, I think what they do is they don't keep it rolled as they do it. I think they fold it as they roll. So as they pull it out, then they fold it. Something like that. But either way, that's not our minig. Our minig is we fold it into 3 lechatchila, and we have taller things. If you look at the bottom, he says that our minig is minagenu shegam hashoimim koiflim b'samagila ki yigares v'akfili hi l'shloish chalakim. Even those listening should also. According to the halacha, only the person reading it does that. Everyone else doesn't have to fold anything. But our minig is that even people around will also fold it. And this we know, the Rebbe writes in Rishimis that he was once with the Frierdiker Rebbe in a certain city in Europe who was there for his health. And over there, It was, I think it was in Paris actually. And over there, the Frierdiker Rebbe, they did not have a minyan, first of all, which we'll get to in a second. But the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe folded over the Megillah for the Frierdiker Rebbe, even though there was not a minyan, and the Frierdiker Rebbe wasn't reading it. I think the Rebbe was reading it for the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Rebbe writes that the Frierdiker Rebbe showed signs of being like I don't know if he nodded or whatever, but he showed that he appreciated that this is what was supposed to be done. So, Bekitza, that's the way we do it. That became the minig. One second. And it could be the reason why we do that is also because there is a meaning that people also have their own Megillas. And it could be in the past, not everyone had a kosher Megillah. But based from the times of the Pri Megadim, where people already had a kosher Megillah, so therefore, if that's the case, so then you taka do this, that you should roll it over in that way. Okay, that's if you yeah. You had a question?
I would say you know call Yisrael and then it's not the middle that we do.
No, what do you mean? It says Mini B'chol Yisrael Sha'koide, the one who reads it. The Baal Koide should do it. And everyone else shouldn't.
You also that the minute call Yisrael is that he goes and reads.
No, so that's what I said. The minute Kol Yisrael is because for the person who's reading, there were Rishonim there. There were Rishonim that said that you could have it rolled up like a Sefer Torah. And that already was sort of like, it became that the minig is not like that. The minig is that the Baal Koide folds it over like a letter. But about everyone else, that's not included in the minig b'chol Yisrael. Yeah, but that's not the minig kol Yisrael. Minig kol Yisrael was that some people used to have the Baal Koide used to have it rolled, and now he folds it over. That's agreed on by everyone.
Should do it like a letter?
Yeah, we fold it over into three old world letters. So he get us in those days, the letters that they would get with these proclamations, they would be folded over, not rolled. It's not like our letters are folded also into three, but I don't think that's comparing it to our letters.
Like, like you have like two like parts where you like that, like it's folded, it's like a roll almost. We should like
basically no. Basically, when the Megillah itself is made up of usually of three pieces of parchment, right? Three yediyos, they're called three pieces of parchment. The way we do it is we kind of fold them around there. We fold it into three. So that means you spread it out. As you take it out, you spread out the first side is going to be the one that you're going to start with. Then underneath it, you put another one, and then you put another one underneath. So it's going to be folded over. You'll see 1, 2, and 3.
So
yeah, exactly. So when you finish reading the whole first Uriah or whatever your first thing will be, so then you're going to turn it over. So usually the Baal Koide will be quieted as everyone does the crinkling of turning it. Okay, next, Sif Yirav. HaKoides HaMegillah, the person who's reading the Megillah. Vein Bayayim Vein. Yes.
I'm saying, are we specific to fold it?
You should. No reason why not.
Practical to like.
So I'll tell you like this. I have a very hard Megillah. It's old. I have two Megillahs. I have one that I wrote, which is newer. But then I have a very old one from before the war, where the whole end of the Megillah is like it's like mamish. The parchment is like it's like you can't move it. It's like very hard. And if you fold it over, like it bounces back right away. So usually when I give those to Bacham that you go Mitzrayim or whatever it is, I tell them, you can try. If you can't get it folded, then don't fight with it. It's not like the Iker, it's while you're reading, it's gonna keep on being a distraction. Yeah. So again, it depends. Nowadays the Megillas are pretty soft. There's no reason why you shouldn't be. Even if you go on Mitzrayim, you try to find a surface where you can do it. I mean, if you're standing and the only place you could do it is like that, so then
I've done it for understanding. Still hold it and then
you try. Yeah, you could do it where you hold it like that. It could be done. Again, if you're in a situation where for whatever reason you find it impossible to do, so you do what works. But you should be able to do it. Okay, let's go. Yud Aleph. Yeah. Yeah, but brachas we'll get to soon. Okay, let's get to the brachas. Good question. Let's get to brachas later. We're gonna come there. We're gonna come to there. Okay, Sif Yirav. HaKoides HaMegillah, if someone's reading the Megillah, Bein Bayayim Bein Balayla, Mevarich Lefanao Shalish brachas, you make 3 brachas. Number 1, I'll make it a Megillah, because you're reading the Megillah, and the mitzvah is to read the Megillah. Number 2, Sha'asa Nisim, Hashem did miracles for us. And number 3, She'achiyanu. Now, you even make the bracha She'achiyanu by day, because the Iker reading of the Megillah is really by day. Now, this is not so simple. We think it's very pashut. It's not very pashut at all. You know what? First, let's finish and then we'll talk. Im Avel Koides HaMegillah. If an Avel Le'aleinu is reading the Megillah, then Yuvarech Acharas HaBrachas. Someone else should make the brachas. Mishum Bircha She'achiyanu. Because an Avel doesn't make a She'achiyanu. Unless it's like a bracha of like a of a Yom Tov, let's say they're lighting Shabbos candles or Yom Tov candles, so then they do it. But any bracha of Shechianu that's optional, they don't do. Why not? Because Shechianu means that we've arrived at this auspicious time and you thank God for bringing them. But they're in a state of Avelus. They don't want to thank God for bringing them to this time of Avelus. So someone else should make the brachas, they shouldn't make the Shechianu. Now, on this like this, number one, I'll get to question soon. Number one like this. The night everyone does Shechianu. Now the Alter Rebbe in the Siddur, in the Shulchan Aruch, writes that you do it by night and you don't do it by day. How do you make a Shechianu if you already did the mitzvah? You did the mitzvah by night. How do you do another Shechianu? So in the Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe writes that you don't do it. In the Siddur, I'm sorry, not the Shulchan Aruch. We don't have the halachas of the Alter Rebbe and Purim. But in the Siddur, he writes that you only do the bracha by night of Shechianu and not by day. Now later on, the Piskei Dinim of the Tzemach Tzedek came out. The Tzemach Tzedek says that you do Shechianu by day, and that's the way he did it in his own home. Now, so on this, so the Rebbe writes a few things about this. Number one, he says that that whatever's in the Siddur is the final thing, and we don't change the Siddur. So in other words, if the way in the Siddur, the Alter Rebbe said that you don't say Shechianu by day, we leave it. Even though the Tzemach Tzedek came after and said that you do it, but because that's the way it was printed originally in the Siddur of the Alter Rebbe, so we don't change it, even though it could be that the halacha changed. Now, 1 second. So the Rebbe's great grandfather in the Shara Koila, which was a sefer we spoke about a few times, Rav David Lavut, where he was writing to stick up for the Alter Rebbe and different things. So one of the things he talks about over there is that usually the problem with an extra bracha is called leisisa shem Hashem, which is that you're saying Hashem's name for no reason. It's a bracha levatala. It's a very severe thing. However, when it comes to Shechianu, it's not quite like that, because technically, if you got a new fruit, you can make a Shechianu, and then all of a sudden you get a new clothing, you can make another Shechianu. It's not a bracha that would ever be a levatala if you're doing it correctly. So therefore, it's not the same severity. You don't have this issue of that you're over on saying Hashem's name for no reason, because a bracha Shechianu you could do multiple ones, right? Within a short period of time. So therefore, he says there's no problem with doing Shechianu again the next day. Okay. Now, in addition to that, also the Rebbe actually writes on this that it's possible that the Alter Rebbe himself also said Shechianu, because the Tzemach Tzedek was a very he was very close with the Alter Rebbe. As we know, his mother gave up her life for the Alter Rebbe, and then the Alter Rebbe brought up the Tzemach Tzedek. So he grew up in the Alter Rebbe's home. So he did everything he did was al pi the Alter Rebbe. So it's possible, the Rebbe writes, that just because the Alter Rebbe wrote in the Siddur not to, it doesn't mean that's what the Alter Rebbe did at home. It could be at home. Hitaka said Shechianu by day as well. But when in the Siddur he wrote that you don't do Shechianu by day, he meant that you don't need to do Shechianu by day. Right? So by night you should. It's the first time you're doing the mitzvah. By day, if you already heard the night before, then you don't have to say Shechianu. But if you did, it could work. Either way, Kitzur, it doesn't. All this is just the back and forth of the halacha. But the point is, we do Shechianu by day as well. That's the way our minig is. The Tzemach Tzedek did it. The Rebbe says we should, etc. So we definitely do Shechianu by day. Now about Sha'asa Nisim, it's an interesting thing, because what do we know about Purim? Yeah, were there any miracles about Purim?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the miracle by Purim?
It was not.
It wasn't a miracle. It was, yes, all those are retroactively miracles, but actually they're not. It was completely meluvish and teva. There was nothing about it that you would look at it and say, this was a miracle. It wasn't. It was all normal, natural things. Esther was in the right position. Why? Because she was chosen to be the queen. He did lots. It fell out on this day. None of this is an overt miracle, to the point, as we know, that Hashem's name is not even mentioned in the Megillah, because it was under the wraps. However, we still make a bracha of Sha'asa Nisim, because there were two reasons that I noticed. 1 second. There were two reasons that I noticed. And number one, that the turning over of the king's Gzeira was a miracle, because as we know, and the king himself said, that once a Gzeira is given, it can never be turned over. The fact that later things changed was some sort of form of, number one, a miracle, and number two, that another thing also is that if you think about what happened, tens of thousands of his subjects were killed. Tens of thousands. Why? Because of his wife, because of one person. That's a miracle. The fact that he allowed his feelings for his wife to give permission to the Yidden to go to war, and then he backed them up, whatever he did. And I think 80,000, I forgot the exact numbers, but thousands, tens of thousands of his citizens were killed, whoever went to war. I'm not saying they were faultless, but still, the fact that he allowed that, so some people say that itself was a miracle, meaning in some way, that even though it seemingly the balance was not in the favor of the Yidden, but nevertheless, that's what it is. Now, Oh, I skipped a line, didn't I? I did. I skipped a line in the middle of Yud Aleph. Okay, perfect. So let's do this. So let's first go back to Yud Aleph. So in the middle of Yud Aleph, he says like this: Ula achar kriyasa. After you finish reading the Megillah, okay? No, we didn't do this one. After you finish reading the Megillah, korcha kula, you roll the Megillah up, umanicha lefanav, and you put it in front of you, and then umevarchim birchas harav esrivenu. And then you make the bracha of harav esrivenu, which is a bracha you do after. Now look in the bottom of, okay, now 1 second. Now if you look in the bottom of ches, so it says over there, v'yacholim levarech. You could also, if you prefer, make the bracha of harav esrivenu first, v'achar kach lichrechas hamagillah, and then you go and you roll the Megillah. So there's two things about this that I want to say. Number one, like this, that the Rebbe writes that the Frierdiker Rebbe, again, this is when they were in Paris and they didn't have a minyan. The Frierdiker Rebbe made the bracha of harav esrivenu even though there was no minyan. Okay? So now, and this is brought as the minhag based at us. I can't tell you what you should do, but clearly you see, and this is quoted, the Rebbe writes about it. So clearly this is something, and it's based on, I think, the Pri Megadim and other places who say that even without a minyan you could do it. So it's not universal that we don't do it, but the Frierdiker Rebbe did do harav esrivenu even without a minyan. So if someone tells me they went on Mitzrayim, I think you would say it. I don't see why not with the Shema Malchus. I believe so. That's number one. But number two, there's something interesting, which seemingly you would think is not important, which is the order of, do you make the bracha and roll the Megillah, or do you roll the Megillah and make the bracha? Does it make a difference? Who cares? Roll the Megillah. Wait, don't wait. Who cares? So the halacha over here that he's saying is that you should roll it first. Now, what's the reason why you should roll it first? So someone asked the Rebbe, because our minhag is the other way around, that sometimes we roll it first, which is what the Frierdiker Rebbe did, and the Rebbe would start rolling it towards the end, like after you read, then the Chazan repeats the last 3 psukim, yeah? So while the Chazan is repeating the last few psukim, the Rebbe would start rolling it and then continue through the bracha. So what's the order? Do you make the bracha first or after? Is it important? So there's three reasons why it should be done the way it's said in the Shulchan Aruch. Number one, which means that you should roll it first and make the bracha after. Okay, what's the 3 reasons? Number one is that you don't want to leave it open while you're making a bracha. It's not respectful. Yeah, you have it sitting open. You have it sitting open in front of you, and you're making brachas. It's not respectful to the Megillah. That's number one. Number two is that there's 2 categories of brachas. There's the brachas before you read the Megillah, which is, as we said before, is the mitzvah. You have to read them. And then you have the brachas after that are more of a minhag, like we said, which is why some would say don't say it without a minyan. So to separate between the two, to show that one of them is a real mitzvah and the ones after are not as much, roll the Megillah up. So when you first make the brachas before, the Megillah is open, and later on you roll the Megillah up when you do the second brachas. And then number 3 is a similar thing by Sefer Torah, which is why we roll it up before we make the brachas. You don't want people to think that the brachas are written in the Torah, and here also you don't want people to think that the brachas are written in the Megillah. So it's a similar type of thing. So these are 3 reasons that it should be done as it says in Shulchan Aruch. They're very good reasons. Now the Rebbe answers all 3 reasons, and therefore explains why we're not limited to doing it the way it says in Shulchan Aruch. Number 1, the Rebbe says, you're telling me that it's embarrassing to the Megillah that you're going to hold it open while you're making a bracha? Adarabah, this is the covet of the Megillah. We're showing that there's so many brachas we say on the Megillah. It's a huge covet for the Megillah, number 1. Number two, he says, you're telling me that there's a difference between the brachas before and after, right? So the Rebbe writes, we never do that. Think about Hallel. Hallel, you have brachas before and after. And also the one before is like the bracha on the mitzvah. The one after is not. We don't make a separation or a difference between these the mitzvah that would be more of a mitzvah and a bracha that's less of a mitzvah, more of a minhag. We don't generally make this distinction. And number 3, the Rebbe says the issue that you're mentioning is that people might think that the brachas are written in the Megillah. He says, number 1, is that in the beginning of the Megillah is open. That's for sure. Everyone opens the Megillah and then you make the brachas. And no one there says, well, maybe the psukim are written in the Megillah. We're not worried about it there. So why would you be worried about it after? Number 1. And number 2 is also, that's if a chazan goes up and he's the Baal Korah by a Torah and he's the only guy there and he's making the brachas and no one knows, is it written in the Torah? Is it not written in the Torah? So there you want to be more concerned. Over here, everyone has the Megillah open in front of them. Right? If it's not a real kosher Megillah, most people have them. So it's not only the chazan who's reading it, everyone is reading it along with him. And therefore, you don't have the same suffix that someone might say, maybe it's written in there or maybe not. And then the Rebbe says also that there might even be a better reason that you do want to do it this way, which is that you want to make the brachas while it's still open. Which would be because the brachas would be as close to the reading as possible. You don't want to sit there and spend time rolling it up and then do it that way. Now in the siddur, the Alter Rebbe didn't bring either way, meaning that you should roll it first. He doesn't say that. Maybe because he holds like the Magen Avram that you should make the bracha first and roll it after. But Kitzur, you see from here that it seems like a very small thing of should you roll it first or not, but there's a lot of reasons why you should do either way. And our minhag doesn't seem to be set in stone, but I believe the way that Abba did it is towards the end, meaning when they finish the Megillah, he would already start rolling it, even through the bracha, which is basically what's done nowadays for that reason. You had a question?
Yeah. Basically, the guy now that
No, it was the ones who chose, exactly. So they were, yes, they put their...
But thousands to be killed.
True.
Those think it was white.
True.
They chose to be killed.
True.
True.
It's true. I don't know. I'm not sure.
They jumped on the fire.
Right. I don't know. Maybe he could have told the Yidden, go hide. Don't be around. I'll make sure they don't find you. I don't know. No, it was also the second that he gave them permission. He gave the Yidden more permission. Yeah, you're right. But you see that he allowed it to happen to some degree. And even he that's right. That could be. Yeah. Even the first one, he could have told the Yidden to stand down and hide and not let them run around. I don't know. There were other things he could have done maybe, instead of making it that all the anti-Semites would be eradicated. You had a question, Mayor?
Yeah, what's the problem if it looks like it's no Megillah?
That if the psukim are written in the because you don't want to. It's like saying a non-emes about Torah. Same thing we have when you actually Sefer Torah. We never want to read it while it's open, at least for us, because we don't want people to think the brachas are written in there. It's like it's not emes. That's not what's in the Torah. Yeah. The year.